Hi guys, I am so sorry for that. Technology was just driving me mad. But luckily, I know you guys are patient and are here to join the conversations again. So to just reintroduce my guest, I have Silas today who's here. And as you have seen on my post, I've invited him on the basis that I know he speaks of men, he speaks for men, he stands for men. And what better person to give men a voice? So yeah, let's get right onto it, Silas, because we wasted time. I'm so sorry
Okay.
about how we started this. It's usually so
No.
smooth,
Yeah, that's
and
in
this
that. Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, back to us and you and the story and why I actually got in contact with you was because look, from as early as us being kids, we all have a story to tell. My earliest memory of being a girl is probably when I was 3 or 4, always being told to close my legs, banana habaduli so,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
I'm sure we all have stories to tell. But looking at it from the perspective that I'm interested in today, the perspective of a man or boy child, who talks about a good black man? I mean, Sheba, the shows tse re nang le tsona, you look at the reality shows that are playing now about men, Papgeld, uh, Uyajola 99,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tatakho, they always,
Mm.
the message behind them is black men are responsible. What shows do we have that show black men are good? I mean, you look at the hashtags that we have now, black girl magic, girl power, but there's nothing about a boy, there's nothing that it's men are trash, hashtag men are men are trash,
Exactly.
But you look
Exactly.
at Tyler Perry's movies, a black man is always either
It's
abusive. If he's
it's
doing
always
well,
something
if he's
wrong.
successful, it's always there's just this black paint that you guys are painted in. And I just want us
Mm.
to maybe start it from as early as you can remember it, as early as maybe your childhood, or as early as what a boy is exposed to, or how a boy is loved to even start with. What is it that you guys are taught as young boys? How is it that we have nothing good to say about black men?
I think. Look. I have a bit of a self-taught philosophical background. Okay. So my approach always to things is to be human is to be a problem. So I always approach things from that we all have problems. Men have
Mm.
problems, women have problems. So um, whatever I'm going to, what is it, to indicate today, you need to understand that I can only talk about this number of problems because, human beings, man, they have this huge spectrum, you know what I mean, that they have to
Our
cover.
focus is
So,
specifically on men. Our
exactly, you know what I
focus
mean?
is specifically on black men.
Exactly. So now the question is, what leads to the narrative that black men are problematic? I really think there's an onslaught. Personally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, by the way, but I do believe that somewhere, somehow, and I don't know who started that, but I do believe that there's an intentional onslaught. And to a certain extent, our sisters, they tend to succumb without realizing. Yesterday, as I was thinking about this talk, I thought about that. One of the onslaught, for example, I'll mention the big weight. I thought I was going to mention this. Um, I thought I was going to mention this later, but
Mm.
unfortunately, I can't. I have to mention it now. One of the onslaught that has been used is feminism. You see, um, feminism comes and then it
Hey, we
says,
spoke about that yesterday.
yeah.
Please.
Look, no, I'm not going to go hardcore. I'm going to be simple on these. Right.
Okay.
I think that's what's fueling. That's what's fueling the perception that the black man is bad. Because show me one thing that a black feminist is saying. Show me one thing that's good that one feminist is saying about the black man.
No,
It's
but
very difficult.
Silas, remember, even the way your mother raises you, he raises you to. It's almost like we restructure boys to not do with love. Like we hug men, boy child less. Even from, okay, I see this the
Mm,
feminist side of you, and whatever. But even look on
yeah.
Klum, from the way that
Yes,
a
yes.
boy child gets attention to the way when you compare it to a girl child, it's always different. It's assumed that men don't need the number of affection, or they don't need that amount of affection. Like that reassurance. That how is it that impacts on basically how a man navigates the world today?
I I think the reason for that is because we caught up later as black people. You know what I mean? Let me just give you a very simple example. The concept of positive thinking, which is very integral to how we deal with our daily problems. You see, only came actually on full blown around the year 2000. And then, by then you would know about your Joel Osteen, your Les Brown, your TD Jakes, your Miles Monroes, and everybody. Pre 2000, we wouldn't know about positive thinking. So you wouldn't know about statements like, as a man thinketh, so is he. So you need to be very conscious about the thoughts that you allow in your mind. So what I'm trying to say is, and I'll take it back, right? Pre 1994, I don't think that our fathers really understood the importance of nurturing, the importance of looking your son in the eyes and tell you, son, I love you so much. You mean so much to me. And by the
Mm,
way, whatever it is that I'm doing it for you. You know what I
mm,
mean? And of course, I mean, it's only now that we structuring the birth. I
mm,
would say we're planning births, you know what I mean? Way back, I mean, for God's sake, we were eight at home. You see,
mm,
so there wasn't the case that my dad would look at me and be like, whatever I'm doing is for you. But
mm,
for me specifically, it was gonna be for you guys. But I
mm,
never had that assurance because I understand my dad never went to school, so he never understood the psychological impact of affirming his children. You know what I mean? And this was
mm,
happening also in also for the girls as well. You know, it would happen.
mm,
But
mm.
the thing about the girls is that you had mothers that were home based. So the girls they would have this close
Bonding time, yeah, closeness with the mother.
because the
Yeah,
mother
yeah.
is the home kiki housewife. So she
Mm, mm,
automatically bond with the girls. So we
mm,
were left, we were just gonna go look for the cows. That's all the dad was concerned about. So when he came
mm,
back on Friday, if he was working in Palabora, my dad was working in Palabora, staying cookie, and so he'd come back. All he was concerned about was gonna go check if the goats are there, if they're none,
mm,
if none
mm.
of the cows are lost, and if they were lost, you were gonna take a whipping. So I
Yeah.
think it all goes back to the lack of knowledge. Yeah, that led to where we are today.
But how does that affect us? How does that, not us, because I'm not a boy,
Yeah.
but how does that affect you as men, as boy child especially? How does it affect you do you see the impact of it now in your life? The fact that you were never given the same affection, same attention as a boy child, the fact that you have to be emotionally independent, the fact that you have to be emotionally be in a state of isolation and be okay with it. I mean, you guys have nowhere to go to be emotional. You come to a woman, oh, Jaja, you're being a pussy. We give you names like that. You are being a mama's boy. Where is this boy child going to be vulnerable? From
Yeah, yeah,
from an early child, Ngwanam Shiman is always told when you are trying to show your emotions, mama's boy, a boy doesn't cry, my child, or
mhm. Yeah,
the
yeah,
fathers would
yeah,
always say that. How does it affect
definitely.
you? How do you
Um,
navigate life with that experience and that on your shoulder to say you are not allowed to be weak, you're not allowed to be vulnerable, you're not, you know?
and unfortunately, the earlier you realize that as a black guy, you are on your own, I'll talk from many backgrounds, like from a financial point of view. Let's talk about from a financial leadership point of view, right? Whatever I have today, I had to work out for myself. You see, I remember this other pastor that I like, Matthew Oshimolo. I was looking at him. He said, "There's this other guy." I was in a seminar, and then I heard him saying that, "Yo, dude, we're so poor. You know, the car that we're using, we could see the road while we drive all the way inside." He said, "Dude, I didn't have shoes. You're talking
Mm.
about that you could see holes.
Eka.
There was holes in your car. I didn't have shoes. I didn't know what I was going to eat when the sun rises. You see, so for me to see a sunset and having received the meal, it was going to be a miracle. So
Mm.
I knew that I was on my own. My point, the point I'm making is the moment a black guy realizes that he's on his own, it's the
But
earlier
should
the
he be
better.
on his own? Should he? Is this how it should be? How are we raising?
It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, but unfortunately, it's how it is.
Hmm.
And then
But tell,
yeah,
sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying it's not supposed to be. You see what I
Hmm.
mean? There should be legacy which is passed from generation to generation. So I should have an inheritance from my dad, which is passed through to me, which I nurture, then I pass it. And actually, it's about growing because it's about stewardship and servanthood. You see, so it's about me receiving whatever I'm receiving to my dad, whatever he has decided to divide to me, and then I have to grow it. I have to nurture it, and I have to pass it to my son, and my son has to grow it, and then you know what I mean. It's about that. But unfortunately, it's not like that. We have to start from the scratch.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the life cycle Yamshimani. Ne?
Yeah. Yep.
So a boy child grows up from an early age. Um,
Hmm.
he's probably more aware of his sexual sexual organs than anyone else, as
Because it's natural, the
because it's natural.
testosterone,
He's curious, or kicking into it, you pull it or
and
whatever.
we need to
So
and we need to revisit that. We need to revisit that because lack of mentoring when the testosterone kicks in at 14. Boys' testosterone is so high, is so bad that he responds at the slightest of impulse that will get him erected. From 14 up
wait,
until
you're
somewhere
going
around 22,
wait,
we'll talk
wait.
about it. Okay, cool.
I'm
Let's
gonna bring
revisit
the
it.
conversation back to
Happy
life.
days. Let's bring it back. Okay, cool.
So from an early age, as early as 4, this is the cycle of a boy, the way that I see it. From an early age, as early as 4, a child boy is aware of his sexuality, right?
That's
And
correct. Yeah.
he's allowed to explore it because he's not told
That's
close your legs, close your whatever. So
yes, yes, yes. Sort of. Yeah.
it seems like a boy child owns their sexual being before they can even own their emotional being, because from an
Definitely.
early age they are told don't cry, mfana akakhali, as young as that,
Definitely.
so
Yeah.
what takes priority and preference is, oh, okay, this is one thing that I have where I don't get in trouble if I touch or I do or whatever. And then number
Yeah.
two, shimane wa hola with the knowledge that uh, he must be self-sufficient, right? And
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
grow up, you become a teenager, you start dating with
Yeah.
all that information where you don't know how to rely on a woman, you need to be self-sufficient, you don't know how to be vulnerable, you don't even know how to communicate. For goodness sake, you know, because
Yeah.
you
By
don't
the
allow
way,
yourself to be vulnerable.
by the way, in terms of vulnerability, in terms of being, all those things that you're mentioning, it also goes with the type of people, the type of person that you reveal this vulnerability to. You understand? I'm at a point in my life, I'm like, I don't think that our black women are ready to receive a vulnerable man. When they see a vulnerable man, they look down, and that's why you love bad boys. That's the reality of it. Women, not just black women, generally women love bad boys. But we'll get back to that. Let's not get to that. They love bad boys. So it becomes a very difficult because it's a knee-jerk approach. A guy cries, you see a man's tears, you automatically now start to look at him as he's a simp, he's a blue pill, he's weak. So only few women understand the psychological intricacies of allowing a man to be fully vulnerable and for a man to cry, and then they don't use that against him as a witness. So it goes hand in hand. It's a very intricate situation, and it's a bit complicated or sophisticated rather.
Yeah. Okay. So how, Silas, how should boy kids be raised? How should
I
they
have
be
my
raised?
boy. I have my boy, right? I have my son. He's 7. I love him. He's everything to me. I can't lose him. And every time when I'm with him, I tell him that, son, everything that I'm building for you. And by the way, I started my company literally a year after he was born. 2014, I started selling. And then 2015, I registered my company. And that was because I realized later that, you know what, my salary is not enough. My boy is here. Seeing how much I'm spending on my boy per month, I I realized that it's just as important that I have to augment my salary. And then I open up my company. And then, yeah, 6 years later, it has grown. I'm in a comfortable space. Um, yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
I'm
so
saying
I,
emotionally,
so
how is it that, so what I want to get at is, how is it that we are emotionally denying our boy kids the chance to just feel, be allowed to feel what they need to feel, be allowed to be human, be allowed to be. How is it that, okay, how do you wish you were raised when as a boy? What is it that you wish you could
I
have
wish,
made
look, I
from
wish,
your parents? What is it that you wish you would have known as a boy child growing up that
I
you
look
only
at my,
knowing now?
yeah, I look at my parents and I understand that financially they were not well off. You know what I mean? We're eight. And I'm so scared to make another child right now because them kids are expensive, you know. So I feel pity for them. I'm like, dude, how did you raise eight people? You know, and they did. But how I wish that my dad would have done was more affirmations and to tell me not to let me experience as much as I believe that no girl should get shocked when they see their first menstrual period, you know, to rush to their mother, mom, I've got blood, you know what I mean? These are the things that I believe that as girls they need to be prepared for. The very same applies to me getting my first hard on. You see, I believe that those are the things that my dad should have called me and say, son, you are 12, you are 13. You need to understand that right now, possibly that when you see a woman's breast, you're going to get a hard on, you know? And the fact that you get a hard on, it doesn't mean that you need to act on it. You know, those are the things that I wish that my dad would have, but he didn't do it, which
Mm,
I've already indicated that to say, I don't blame him. It was
mm,
because of the era that they were in. The
mm.
only thing that they were concerned about, these guys, was to buy whoopee. That's it. Was just
Provide, yeah.
as long as you've eaten, it's fine. The rest you will navigate yourself. What career you're gonna be? What career you're gonna be? Actually, there's gonna be, since I grew up in a rural area, so the people that were valued actually, who were looked as the most revered people, were teachers. So actually, you know, as long as you grow and you become a teacher, I'm fine. That was the most important thing. And in that time, actually, when I look at it, it was a way for them to escape responsibility because the government was subsidizing teachers. So when you get your, what do they call it? I think they used to call it J something, standard 8. So you'd go into a government school and the government would pay. So you're out your dad's care. So, but like I'm saying, I can't blame them. They didn't understand the intricacies and the importance of mentoring, of affirming, and all that. The
Mm,
people that I'm holding accountable is us today. And I know there's an issue, there's contention, because most of us are not longer together with our, let me use this word, allow me, because the word that I can think of, baby mamas or the mothers of our children, right? But you can still make a difference. Whether you're together with the mother of your child or whether you're not, you can still raise your boy child. You can still make that connection. It still remains your responsibility to reach out, correct whatever needs to be corrected. If there are things that the mother of your child is doing wrong, sit her down, try to make some interventions. I've done that myself, and I'm proud of where I am actually, where it led me to, because there were some things had I not acted, it would have led me to have walked away from my boy. And today I was gonna look back and go like, I keep baby mama, she was dramatic. But
mm,
I tackled that drama and then I dealt with it. And today I'm fully involved in my boy's life. The things
mm,
that I wish my dad would have done to me, I'm doing to my child. What are
mm,
those things? I teach him to pray. It's very important. I'm irreligious, by the way, or I'm unreligious, but I teach him to pray because I believe spiritual discipline is very important. And I believe that it sort of enforces discipline in a man's life. Number two, I teach him the importance of money. I make him understand the fact that whatever the comforts that he's having is because I'm financially independent. If I wasn't financially independent, he wouldn't have the comforts that he's having. I teach him the
mm,
importance of love. The fact I assure him every day when he comes, before I drop him off at his mother, I hug him and I tell him how much I love him. And I like it because right now we has learned. Every time when we drop the call, I say, I love you, boy. I say, I love you too, dad. It melts my heart. So they learn. I believe that these are important. These are simple things that I wish my dad would have done to me, which
Mm-mm.
he didn't
Okay.
do to me. Yeah, which I'm
Yeah,
doing to my son. Yeah,
I hear you. So let's talk about the pride and ego of a black man. Do you think women are now constantly attacking the pride and ego of a black man, or should it even be protected? Pride или ego ya a black man.
it shouldn't be protected, but it shouldn't be attacked.
Okay.
Yeah,
How is it
when
being
I say
attacked now? How is it that you as men feel women are taking your pride and ego
it,
now?
I'll go back to the term that you shied away from earlier, and I'm hoping I don't know, maybe you shied away from it because you want to bring it exclusively a part of the conversation later on, right? Like I said, I was thinking about our conversation, and what came to my mind was feminism, right? I realized that feminism actually, it's not that it hates men, because they do need men. I mean, like, they do speak about dick, how they should be free to have any dick, anytime when they want. That's one of the things that the so-called feminism is about. Of course, there are different sects of feminism, by the way. I'm quite aware. But the one that we see, which is at the forefront, that is charging against men. Okay. So now, but the kind of men that these feminists, it's not like feminists hate men. They do like a man, but the kind of man that they want is the kind of man who is a dumb and a robot, who doesn't ask questions. So it's the kind of man, if I'm staying with Magavelo, we're dating, and Magavelo comes to me and says, "Baby, I'm pregnant." No, I shouldn't ask, but Magavelo, I think, weren't we using contraceptive? Weren't we using family planning? How are you pregnant? No, don't ask. If Magavelo is a feminist in the house, don't ask, how did you fall pregnant? Because you're attacking her. If if Makabelo come and say, basically, feminism wants a man who doesn't say anything, because anything that a man is going to say, it doesn't matter from what place, right? Let the man be there, but don't say anything. So be as good as if you're dead, you are a bot, you are a robot. And that is not going to happen. We definitely are going to ask questions. Let me talk about, like, for example, in case of our daughter. I need to be involved in raising our daughter. I need to be able to tell you, as the mother of my child, and say, baby, I don't think it's right that Upamela is going to go out and not be back in the house by 7 o'clock. I need to be involved in such things. But it looks as if, like, the more men get involved, hey, when how you don't know, you're not a woman. Stay out of these things. And I think
Ongena
that
lapho.
when you're a man, you know what I mean? You can't intervene in some of women's issues. But the moment you're mine, you become, if you're my woman, and I'm hoping I'm using the right word, I'm not gonna get it. Because the moment, in some instances when you use my woman, they go like, am I your subject? But damn, I mean, that's I prefer to call my girlfriend my woman. She's mine. That's it. So
So do you think men now have to tiptoe around,
that is the problem. We
to
have to
tiptoe around
tiptoe.
women, to tiptoe around
Yeah, we have to
words, to
tiptoe
tiptoe
around it,
around?
because no, because you step on one word, it becomes a trigger. Next thing, you have to apologize the whole day, and I don't think that's how men should be. So hence I said that there's a difference in between protecting and attacking the man's ego. The man's ego doesn't have to be protected, because a man is proud naturally, but don't
Mm,
attack me. Don't
mm,
charge towards me and you attack me. There was a celebrity recently, who had, I'm not going to name the names. There were issues, there were cases that were being, or there were things that were said about him. And a part of us, some of us guys, were saying, okay, we're not saying, and I hope it's the right platform to bring it. We're not saying that don't. And I lost friends also, sadly, in that case. We're not saying don't raise issues if you've been violated,
mm.
but 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 there has to be a proof, and understand that proving that one has been violated, it becomes it's a slippery slope, you see. But what we're saying is you as Makabelo, right? The fact that when you're Makabelo and you are a woman, it doesn't mean that whatever you're going to come and say against a man, everybody should just accept without asking questions and without looking deeper into it. We are not going to do that. Because in that instance, it means it's going to result in our brothers being in prison innocently. When we ask those questions, it was more like we are poking our fingers on an open wound with how the kind of reaction that we got. And I think we really need to have an honest conversation around these sensitive issues. I think very critical. If I'm not shying away from your question, I think we really need a balanced, mature, and rational, emotional free conversation around these issues. I can't tiptoe around your issues because as much as I don't want you to tiptoe around my issues as well.
Yeah. Waiting, I think I'm really afraid when our conversation has just diverted into a lot of conversations. A lot of
Contain it. I'll allow you.
no. I don't want to contain it because I really want this platform to be about men expressing their ideas, men expressing, oh, finally we see you. Maybe it's gonna be better now. About men expressing their feelings, but also about men expressing their views. I don't want to direct your view and I don't want to manipulate it or anything like that. I just want to have a conversation based on where you are as a man. So let's talk about how can Black women contribute to building better men?
I think the only way is because I believe that men are at the forefront of building societies everywhere in the world. And I know right now there's arguments about who is more important. Is it women? Is it the contribution that women are making? But men are at the forefront. I mean, men are at construction, majority of men. Men are at the forefront of battlefields. So you know what I'm saying? And I know somebody can argue that
Their
patriarchy.
masculinity allows them to be at the forefront.
Yeah, I know that was going to come up, and I know there's going to be an issue of patriarchy and all that, right? But I think, come on, we need to give it credit. We need to go and look at the good things that patriarchy has brought. You see, if we are asleep, I'm not trying to assume anything. By the way, I'll use because I see you. I'll use you. If you are asleep in the house, somebody knocks at 11 o'clock. Would you expect to go and open up at the door? You're expecting me as a man, right? And as a result, there are wrong things that we have done as men because we've manipulated the advantage that we have due to the physical strength that we've been endowed with by the creator, whatever the case it is. It's always the case. Human beings will always go extreme and do some wrong things at the expense of good. But I believe what we're going to do is, in order to correct the wrongs that have been done, and it goes back to what I said our dads didn't have an exposure of the psychological impact of affirmation that affirmation has on the boy child. I think those who have given birth to children post 2000, right? Those of us who had access to materials, Abu Miles Monroe, Abu T.D. Jakes, Abu Les Brown, Abu Jordan Peterson, let us go and do the right thing. Let us be there for our kids. Let us affirm our kids. It's not so much, It's not about money. While money is important because a child cannot eat motivation, right? While you have to do your part, but at the very same time, do those things. Be there for your kid. Be concerned. You know what I mean? About where you're. Let me give you a very simple example about where I'm coming from, how I ended up to be where I am today. I'm an interior designer. I'm regarded as an interior designer, but I didn't regard myself. I'm regarded as an interior designer based on the work that we do, okay, and how we do it, okay. I remember how I decided to do Bachelor of Administration, Public Administration at University of Venda. Actually, everything went from up, and then it goes back to descending. Because all my life, I remember when I was a young kid, I was very passionate of being a doctor, right? And as
You
I
wanted to
grew,
be a doctor.
I wanted to be a doctor. And then I realized later that, oh gosh, doctors have to operate people. I hate blood. I hate seeing blood. I don't watch horror movies. If I watch horror movies where people are like eating each other, I don't eat for a few days. So I'm like, no, this cannot work. And then I wanted to be a pilot. And I was very vocal about it. And then later on, when I got to standard 8, I remember we were supposed to do mathematics. So you were supposed to choose whether you're going to stick with commerce or you're going to stick with mathematics, right? I chose mathematics. I realized I sucked at maths and commerce. So I decided, no, guys, I'm going back to do biblical studies and agriculture because these mathematics things, it's not working. But had had I spoken to somebody at home, right, when I indicate that I want to be a pilot, and they say, Chief, do you know what it takes to be a pilot? Or rather, they buy me toys. I don't think they would be expensive. You buy the toys that would challenge me in the context of the challenges of which a pilot is supposed to solve, or somebody who's supposed to be a pilot is supposed to solve before they get to be a pilot. I would have known easily. And then it was later when I was standard 8, I'm like, nah, I'm not good at this. And then I acknowledged, I quit mathematics. I went to standard, and that was the frustrating one. From standard 8 to standard 10, at least standard 8, because I didn't do school in this time of grade 11 and grade 12. It confuses me. So between standard 8 and standard 10, I was trying to figure out, hey, damn it, what am I going to be now? Because everything that is significant, when I look at engineering, it needs mathematics. When I look at being a doctor, if I want to do it for money, even though I hate it, it still needs mathematics. Then what is left? When I realize it's only social sciences that are left. But when I confront the reality of social science, I realize it doesn't pay. And I think I was
Silas, we're gonna lose our viewers here. We are talking
okay.
about masculinity. We're talking
Let,
about masculinity, and I wanted us to come back to this point of masculinity
let
because
me get it. The point is, I went to school without knowing what I wanted to do. I had to decide on the cue that what did I want to become, and that was because of lack of mentors. You see, had I been mentored early, right, I would have known earlier what is it that I want to be.
but that could have been the case as well with me, and I'm a woman. We could have been in the same boat. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah,
So that one has nothing to do with gender and with you being a boy and with you being a uh
makes sense. Makes sense. I grant that it makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you for
Do
correcting
black
me. Yeah,
men know how to love outside of? Are you capable of being in a relationship now as a black man if you don't have money? Do you have the confidence to date as a black man if you don't have money?
it's difficult
Why?
because money in this moment it defines masculinity. That's the only way that says you are capable as a man.
Whose fault is that that it defines that? Did men decide that we are going to be defined by money, or who decided that? Is it society that decided masculinity is equals to money, or who decided?
I think that is like common in all the societies. You see, I think it's common all throughout the races because in every age, right, a man had a way to express his masculinity. Back in the gladiator days, it was a case of we need to get into the cage, let's fight, and then whoever beats you is the winner. But in
Mm.
this moment in time, it's a case of, I mean, people are no longer fighting. We no longer go and then we fight and then we win. It's a case of,
So you win women with
it's,
money.
I hate to admit, but that's the case. Yes.
There's no other way to win a black woman.
There should be other ways because there are women who have realized, I mean, people go through different stages. There are people who realize that, look, money is not everything at the end of the day. Because you find that they've been in relationships where the guy had money, but he didn't have the other qualities. And they would say, you know what, I'll shift money. I'd rather have the other qualities that a man should have. That is interpersonal skills, communication skills, loyalty, minus the money. I'd rather have that.
Mm.
So while but majority of women, they keep up with a lot of things because a guy has money. There are women who are very vocal about it to a certain extent. And they would be saying like, if you've got the money, I'm willing to keep up with a whole lot of things that you do as long as you support me.
Yeah. Silas, okay, I think we need to close the conversation because we started a bit late. But tell me, before
Yeah.
we do, what message would you, if there was ever a conversation that you want to have with Black women, what
Yeah.
conversation would that, if you knew it was safe to talk to Black women, what conversation as a man would you have? Ungakhuluma yini ongakhuluma ngayo nabafazi, if you knew ukuthi angeke balwe, they won't complain or whatever, if you knew they were ready to listen, and this is your last chance to change how men relate and women relate, what is that one message that you feel you would say?
Can I ask you to rather maybe can I ask you something? Can I ask you?
Yes, please.
This is I would be rather ready to say something to men as opposed to women.
To women, even better. Let's hear it.
Yeah, in my way, because I remember a friend of mine said something that, what is it that you would say to your kid? Because you can't go back and say it to yourself, to your young you.
Mm,
In my mind, I was like, number one, as a guy, right, in order to correct the things and in order to live life that is worth remembering, number one, don't spend time chasing women. That's one of the things that I would say. Number two, create value as a man. It's very critical. Be
what do
knowledgeable,
you mean create value?
offer value. What is it that you do as a man?
Okay.
Yeah, create value. Like in the simplest of, what is it that you do individually that would be able to sustain you even without your boss?
Okay.
I know that we're not gonna all be self-employed, but create value to a certain extent. What is it that you're doing in the society that you can say, when I'm gone, the society that I lived in will look back and say, um, this is what Silas left.
Mm,
Talking about the value. Be knowledgeable, display intelligence, be articulate in what you believe in, even though not everybody is going to believe in everything that you're saying,
mm,
because no, not everybody should believe in what you're saying. Nobody, you're never going to come up with an idea and then it's accepted at 100% level. There's going to
mm,
be things around it. Number four is get a field through which you make money with and excel. That has got to do with self-sustenance.
mm,
Because, honestly, you meet a lot of women. When you ask women, what is it that you'd rather be doing? They go like, I'd rather be a housewife. If I would
mm,
get a person, if I was very certain that whoever I'm going to get is going to take care of me, they're not going to turn on me and then they leave me somewhere in a desert. I'd rather be a housewife, and that's it. So
mm,
get money, sustain yourself, make a source of income, especially from a self-employment point of view, because there's a lot of things that you can do. Yeah. One of the things, and then two things, last ones, just the point, refuse to be friend zoned as a guy. You'll get your heart broken. And then the last one
what
for me,
how does a guy get friend zoned? Let's go back to that.
I'll go back to it. Number, my marriage is not mandatory. Friend zone, it means that, yeah, I am, I want you, but you don't see me as a kind of person that you can date in the meantime. So rather, what you do, you keep me at the back while
Hmm.
you're entertaining me. Until then, I become that which you think you are, what I am, what you want, and then you can date me. For me,
Mm.
that becomes unfair because in the time that you've kept me in a trunk, you are living your life. And here I am.
Men don't do that.
After I put up the post about this, I realized that actually men do it. I didn't know that they do it. And later on, I heard that men do it as well. I didn't know. So I would speak for men and say, don't allow women to do that.
Oh, okay. And then what's your last point? You said you had two. So don't allow yourself to be friend zoned. And what is the last?
Um, the last one is for me, right? Marriage is not mandatory. Men don't have to marry young. It's not. It's not a must. If economics don't allow you to do that, don't do it. Because today economics play a vital role in a man getting married. So that's critical. If economics don't allow you to, of course, there's a different discussion that we can have where men can marry on a different basis, not based on economics, of course, seeing the
Mm.
value.
What do you
But
think will
if
happen if a man marries and economically he's not ready? What do you think is the worst that would happen to him? What can possibly happen to him?
the potential of him happening to him is that in many cases, right, not all they get depressed because a woman want to be taken care of. Even though a woman, I mean, I've heard a lot of women who would say that even though I'm earning more than you, right, but I would love that you spoil me as a man, show me that you are a man. I think there's that basic instinct in a woman that wants a man to show masculinity through providing. Hey, baby, please take this money, just go spend. Go do your
Mm.
hair, go do your nails. But then, if you're not financially well, seeing the burden that a man has to carry throughout before they get into marriage, we're talking about lobola, we're talking about a wedding. So you find that in the next coming 2 years that we are married, I'm servicing the debts. So it means that I won't be able to spoil you. And there's possibly going to be kids that are going to come into the picture. Later on, unfortunately, 3 years down the line, we are divorcing, and it's simply because of the things that I sincerely cannot be able to do, even though I would have loved to do it.
So you spoke there about depression, and I know I had mentioned in my post that I wanted us to touch on black men and depression. Do you think depression is caused by money mostly within the black males, or
I think many of the problems that men have, if they had two things, number one, I touched a lot on knowledge. Number
mm,
two is on money. Because
mm,
if you have knowledge and you've got the money, the problem with, I mean, there are a lot of people, in many cases, we see men who get the money before knowledge and they lose the money. And most of them, you find that they are unable to get back into the game. But if you get the knowledge and then you get the money, then you are able to maintain this and say, I'm not going to go back to being broke. Right. So I do think that one way or the other, money does contribute on a large spectrum, right, to men getting depressed. Because at the end of the day, if I get you, you are the woman of my dream, and I'm unable to. Literally, if a man is in love, the ultimate is to prove to the woman that I have in my life to say I can take care of you. And if I can't take care of you, that hits me hard. And if
mm,
you decide to say, babe, I'm walking out of this marriage, whether I understand or not, but emotions are not intelligent, right?
mm.
So the possibility is that if you decide to walk out on me because I can't meet some financial obligations that you are putting on me, it's more like that I'm gonna fall into depression. So I do think that money does contribute a hell lot. Maybe I would say 60 to 70% to how
Depression.
men can fall into depression. Yeah.
So hantlentle lona ha le depressed, le broke.
You can say that. I do believe that many of the guys that who are so-called depressed, uh, if you can give them money today, they'll be fine. But of course, without knowledge, within 3 months, 4 months, they'll be back to their broke state, which will get them depressed again. So empowering people with knowledge is very critical.
Okay. I think I'll leave it at that. Silas, thank you so much for making time to talk to me. I think next time when we have a conversation, I'll obviously know how to structure it better to what you are passionate about. From
Yep.
this, I can tell you're very passionate about entrepreneur. You're passionate about money, and perhaps those are the conversations that we should have had today instead of the masculinity. We should have talked about money, because I see that you can get us to think better, in that sense. But thank you so much for making time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You want to say your
No, thank you.
goodbyes?
No, thank you so much for having me. That's all I can have. Yeah, let's keep
Oh,
on doing
and then
better.
also maybe give us details of you. You did say you're an interior designer. Maybe give us details for people that want your services. Where can they find you? Do you have a website um, that they can get in touch with?
Do you have a website? Chivalry Designs, I wish I could type, but I can't.
Okay, can you inbox it to me? And then what I'll do
That
is
is
I
easier.
will definitely put it up on my wall as well.
I think that's it. Yeah, I'll definitely just
You'll do
inbox it.
that, right? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Silas.
Okay,
Bye.
Veda, thank you so much. Have a beautiful
Thank
one.
you guys
Thanks.
for tuning in. That's it for today. Goodbye.